starting a new series of sessions. Here I'll be focusing on the second language English for the 10th standard students of Karnataka state syllabus. So I'll be starting with the third unit, the first chapter in the third unit, that is Gentleman of Rio in Medio, and which is a very beautiful story, a short story. Before moving into the chapter, let me ask you something. Tell me the name of something that belongs to you and to which you have a special kind of attachment. That is something that you are not ready to share with anyone, or you are not ready to give to anyone. Something will be there, right? Yeah, for me, many such things are there, and one of such things is my pillow. I don't know why it is so special. Right from my childhood, there will be situations when we have to change our rooms or shift our rooms, especially when some relatives are there around. So whenever I am forced to shift my room, I used to carry my pillow along with me. I don't know why, but I love my pillow. And tell me, what is special for you? Okay, put it in the comment box. Let me know. Okay, fine. Gentleman of Rio in Medio is a very interesting short story based on a real life incident. So in this story, the author, that is Juan A.A. Cedillo, okay, he is a lawyer by profession, and in this story, this Juan A.A. Cedillo, he shares with his reader an incident based on an actual legal case. Okay, I wish you all have your textbooks with you. If you have it, go to page number 45 and listen to what I am reading. Read along with me, and then listen to what I am explaining. Okay, so the task will be very easy. Yeah, so now we'll start. See the first paragraph. It took months of negotiation to come to an understanding with the old man. He was in no hurry. What he had the most of was time. He lived up in Rio and Medio, where his people had been for hundreds of years. He tilled the same land they had tilled. His house was small and wretched, but quaint. The little creek ran through his land. His orchard was gnarled and beautiful. Beautifully described. Okay, so in the first paragraph itself, the author tells us that the story is all about an old man and a land which belongs to him. So the land in which he is living is something inherited from his grandparents or his ancestors, and it is written that what this man had the most was time. So he was not at all in a hurry, and the place he lived was Rio and Medio. So not the name of the place. Be thorough with the spelling and see. And and it is also said that his house was small. So he is not a very rich man. His house was very small. It was wretched. That is, it was in a very unpleasant condition, but quaint. Quaint means what? That is, it was very attractive. Although it was very small, it was wretched, still it had a very unusual and attractive look. Okay, and it was built in an old-fashioned way. Okay, then what comes next? The little creek ran through his land. His orchard was gnarled and beautiful. So the little creek. The creek stands for a small narrow stream or river. So there was a small narrow stream running through his land, and also he had an orchard. Orchard means what? A piece of land in which fruit trees are grown. So in the exam you may get a question, yeah, like write the one word for a piece of land where fruit trees are grown. So that is orchard. So don't forget this point. Okay, keep that meaning registered in your mind. Yeah, so he had a very beautiful orchard. It was gnarled and beautiful. So the trees were all okay. The trees were gnarled and beautiful. They were grown, they were twisted, they had hard lumps. So they were really all trees and they were beautiful. Okay, now let us see the second paragraph in the next page. Listen. The day of the sale, he came into the office. His coat was old, green, and faded. I thought of Senator Catron, who has been such a power with these people up there in the mountains. Perhaps it was one of his old Prince Alberts. He wore gloves. They were old and torn, and his fingertips showed through them. He carried a cane, but it was only the skeleton of a worn out umbrella. Behind him walked one of his innumerable kin, a dark young man with eyes like a gazelle. Okay, so now in this paragraph, the author tells us that the old man came into their office on the day of sale. So they are going to sell something. Okay, and again, the old man is very well described. He had a coat which was very old and green in color but faded. And at this time, Cedillo, he thought of Senator Catron. So Senator Catron was actually a politician and a lawyer, and he was one of the first U.S. states senator. Okay, and this man had great powers with these people. It refers to the old man and his ancestors who lived there on the mountains. And now the author, he is also saying that perhaps at court it was one of his old Prince Alberts. Okay, that means what? It was one of the very old fashioned court or the double breasted court. Okay, then the old man also had gloves, and they were also very old and torn, and his fingertips were not properly covered. And the other thing the old man carried was a cane. Okay, but that was not actually a cane, it was actually a skeleton of an old umbrella or a worn out umbrella. And along with the old man came a boy, a very young man, and it is said that along with him came one of his innumerable kin. So kin means what? Someone of close relation or someone in our family. Okay, so here it is said innumerable kin. That means this old man had numerous or uncountable that huge family or relation. Okay, and again that boy's description is also given. He was a very dark young man with eyes like a gazelle. So gazelle means a kind of young deer. So his eyes were like that of a young gazelle. Okay. So keep in your mind the description. The old man, he wore a coat which was very old, green and faded. Then what else he had? Yeah, his coat, it was a double-breasted coat. Then he had a cane, but that was actually a skeleton of a worn-out umbrella. Then he also wore gloves, but that was also torn, and his fingertips were shown outside. And along with him came a dark young man, a dark young man whose eyes were like that of a gazelle. Now see the third paragraph. The old man bowed to all of us in the room. Then he removed his hat and gloves, slowly and carefully. Chaplin once did that in a picture. In a bank, he was a janitor. Then he handed his things to the boy who stood obediently behind the old man's chair. In this paragraph, the author tells us what the old man did soon after he entered into the room. Okay, that is, first of all, the old man bowed everyone in the room. Then he removed his hat and gloves so slowly. Okay, and this act of that old man reminded the author of Charlie Chaplin, or one of the roles played by Charlie Chaplin, that was of a janitor in a bank, in which even Chaplin did the same action of removing his hat and gloves. Okay, and then after removing them, the old man handed those things over to the boy who came along with him. Let us see the fourth paragraph now. There was a great deal of conversation about Rain and his family. He was very proud of his large family. Finally, we got down to business. Yes, he would sell, as he had agreed, for $1,200 in cash. We would buy, and the money was ready. Don Anselmo, I said to him in Spanish, we have made a discovery. You remember that we sent that surveyor, that engineer, up there to survey your land so as to make the deed? Well, he finds that you own more than 8 acres. He tells us that your land extends across the river and that you own almost twice as much as you thought. He didn't know that. And now, Don Anselmo, I added, these Americans are buena gente, they are good people, and they are willing to pay you for the additional land as well at the same rate per acre, so that instead of $1,200 you will get almost twice as much, and the money is here for you. In this paragraph, the author makes it clear what was the deal going on between them. So here the old man is there to sell his land. Okay, and the name of the old man is also given, and it is Don Anselmo. And from the paragraph, it is also clear that they had a talk about this selling of land before, and and Don Anselmo, he has already agreed to sell his land, and now a few other things are revealed which Don Anselmo doesn't know. That is, the author tells that it's some kind of a discovery. Okay, that is, we have made a discovery, and it is the surveyor they sent to survey the land of Don Anselmo found out that he owns more than 8 acres. Okay, that is, Don Anselmo thought that he owns 8 acres, and now the surveyor found out that he owns more than 8 acres. And that is, he owns almost twice as much as he thought, or Don Anselmo thought. Okay, and now this Don Anselmo is a Spanish man. That's why the author is speaking to Don Anselmo in Spanish, and the buyers of the land are the Americans, and the author is saying that these Americans are very good people because now they are ready to pay you extra. Okay, earlier they fixed they fixed this deal for $1,200 in cash, but now they are ready to pay more since the surveyor found out that this man owns double of what he actually thought. So now they are ready to pay twice the amount. Okay, let us see the fifth paragraph now. The old man hung his head for a moment in thought. Then he stood up and started at me. Friend, he said, I do not like to have you speak to me in that manner. I kept still and let him have his say. I know these Americans are good people, and that is why I have agreed to sell to them. But I do not care to be insulted. I have agreed to sell my house and land for $1,200, and that is the price. See, in this paragraph, we can see how or what a real gentleman Anselmo is. By the way, I missed a point. See, actually, the old man's name is Anselmo, and Don is a Spanish title of respect. Okay, as if we are saying sir in English. Okay, so actually, the name of the old man is Anselmo, but with respect, they called him as Don Anselmo. Okay, and in this paragraph, again, you see what he's a real gentleman, right? When they offered him more money, he felt so insulted, and he's saying that he will keep his word. That is, already they have fixed the deal for £1,200, right? No, sorry, $1,200, and yeah, that is for his house and his land. Now he doesn't want anything more than that. Okay, that is the price. It is fixed, and he when they offered more money, he felt that they are actually insulting him, and that is the specialty of Anselmo, the gentleman of Rio and Medio, or this makes him a gentleman of Rio and Medio. Now let us read the 6th paragraph. I argued with him, but it was useless. Finally, he signed the deed and took the money, but refused to take more than the amount agreed upon. Then he shook hands all around, put on his rag gloves, took his stick, and walked out with the boy behind him. So our good author, okay, he's a really good-hearted lawyer. He tried to convince Anselmo. He argued with Anselmo regarding the payment, but all those went useless. He was not ready to accept the extra money. And finally, they signed the deed, and he took the money which was fixed earlier, that is $1,200. And what? He shook his hand with them, and along with the boy, he left the office. See the 7th paragraph. A month later, my friends had moved into Rio and Medio. They had replastered the old house, pruned the trees, patched the fence, and moved in summer. One day they came back to the office to complain. The children of the village were overrunning their property. They came every day and played under the trees, built little play fences around them, and took blossoms. When they were spoken to, they only laughed and talked back good-naturedly in Spanish. So after a month, his friends, that is the Americans, they moved into Rio and Medio, or to that house which they bought from Don Anselmo. So before moving into that house, they actually renovated the house, and they also pruned the trees. That is, they cut off few branches of the trees, then they passed the fence, and only after that they moved into that house in the summer. But soon after that, they came to this our author, that is Cedillo, with a complaint, and that was the children of the village were overrunning their property. That is, the children of that village, or the children of Rio and Medio, they were entering into the property of these Americans, which was once owned by Anselmo, and they used to play there under the trees. They used to make temporary or little play fences, and they even took the blossoms, and whenever these people spoke to them, they simply laughed and they talked back in a very good manner to them in Spanish. See the next paragraph now. I sent a messenger up to the mountains for Don Anselmo. It took a week to arrange another meeting. When he arrived, he repeated his previous preliminary performance. He wore the same faded cutaway, carried the same stick, and was accompanied by the boy again. He shook hands all around, sat down with the boy behind his chair, and talked about the weather. Finally, I broached the subject, Don Anselmo, about the ranch you sold to these people. They are good people and want to be your good neighbors always. When you sold to them, you signed a document a deed, and in that deed you agreed to several things. One thing was that they were to have the complete possession of the property. Now, Don Anselmo, it seems that every day the children of the village overrun the orchard and spend most of their time there. We would like to know if you, as a most respected man in the village, could not stop them from doing so in order that these people might enjoy their new home more in peace. So now, in order to find a solution to the problems of Americans, this Cedillo somehow he managed to arrange a meeting with Don Anselmo again. For that, he sent a messenger up to the mountains, and then it took almost a week to arrange another meeting. So when Don Anselmo came there, he repeated all those things that he did when he came there for the first meeting. That is he wore the same faded cutaway, then he had that same stick and that same boy accompanying him. Again he shook his hands with everyone. Then he sat the same way he sat last time, that is the boy standing behind. Then what? So during the last meeting also, he began his conversation by talking about the weather, the rain, everything. And now here also again he is repeating the same thing. And finally, this man, that is Cedillo, he raised the topic. Okay, and he reminded Don Anselmo about the agreement, or what all things he agreed to in that deed when he signed that deed. Okay, and now he is asking this old man, okay, that is, when he sold that property, in the agreement it was written that everything or whatever is there belongs to these Americans. They have the complete possession of that property. Okay, and so now Cedillo is asking this Don Anselmo, see, after all, you are one of the oldest or one of the most respectable man in Rio and Medio, and can't you stop those children from entering to the property of these people? Is that not possible? Okay. Listen to the 9th paragraph. Don Anselmo stood up. We have all learned to love these Americans, he said, because they are good people and good neighbors. I sold them my property because I knew they were good people, but I did not sell them the trees in the orchard. See, what an innocent response, right? He's such a innocent man. So he's saying that I know that these Americans are very good, that's why I sold my property to them, and we, that means the all man as people, we have just learned to love them. Okay, we don't want to harm them. And it is true that I sold my property to them, but the old man says that he has not sold his orchard or the trees in the orchard to him. Just the land he sold, not the trees in it. Again, it is strange, right? Let us read the 10th paragraph now. This was bad, Don Anselmo, I pleaded. When one signs a deed and sells real property, one sells also everything that grows on the land. And those trees, every one of them, are on the land and inside the boundaries of what you sold. So now our speaker, that is Cedillo, he is trying to convince, or he is trying to make Anselmo understand that selling a piece of land or selling a property means what? That is, it is you are selling everything, even a grass growing on that land or whatever comes in that boundary belongs to the new owner. Okay, so for them he felt it is very strange when Don Anselmo told that the trees were not sold, and now Cedillo, he is trying to make Anselmo understand what really the deed or what really the agreement was. Next paragraph. Yes, I admit that, he said. You know, he added, I am the oldest man in the village. Almost everyone there is my relative, and all the children of Rio and Medio are my sobrinos and nietos, my descendants. Every time a child has been born in Rio and Medio since I took possession of the house from my mother, I have planted a tree for that child. The trees in that orchard are not mine, Senor. They belong to the children of the village. Every person in Rio and Medio born since the railroad came to Santa Fe owns a tree in that orchard. I did not sell the trees because I could not. They are not mine. Again, he gives a very strange answer, and that answer, it is something which is very difficult for the normal people to understand, right? Even we can't understand what actually he means. Okay, let us see. So in this paragraph, Anselmo is saying that okay, I agree to whatever you said. Okay, whatever you said is right. And he is also saying that, okay, I am the oldest man in the village, and almost all the children of Rio and Medio, they are my sobrinos and nietos. That means they are my niece and nephews. Okay, sobrinos and nietos are the Spanish words used for nieces and nephews. Okay, or he want to say that almost all the people in that Rio and Medio are his descendants. And another strange thing now he reveals is that, okay, so the house in which he lived, or the house which he sold to the Americans, was one that he inherited from his mother. Okay, so right from the time he got the possession of the house, he did something, or he did a great deed. That is, he used to plant trees for each newborn child. Okay, see the sentence. Every time a child has been born in Rio and Medio since I took possession of the house from my mother, I have planted a tree for that child. Okay, so now what he is saying again, so that those trees, it doesn't belong to me. Okay, they are not mine, Senor. Senor means what? It's a word used to address a person with respect. Okay, like Mr., like Miss, Mr., as we use in English. Okay, and he's saying that those trees belong to the children, and he is giving the proper justification for his argument. Okay, and he doesn't remember the year and all, but he says that every person in Rio and Medio born since the railroad came to Santa Fe owns a tree in that orchard. So all those people owns a tree in his orchard, and I did not sell the trees because I could not. So the answer is very simple. He could not sell it because those trees are not his. They belong to the people or the kids of Rio and Medio, or his descendants. The 12th paragraph. There was nothing we could do. Legally we owned the trees, but the old man had been so generous, refusing what amounted to a fortune for him. It took most of the following winter to buy the trees individually from the descendants of Don Anselmo in the valley of Rio and Medio. So that was a solution found out by Cedillo and his American people. That is, they were really helpless in front of a generous Anselmo. So finally, as a solution for this issue, they decided to buy the trees individually, or buy the trees from each individual. They decided to pay for each individual who owned the tree according to Don Anselmo. It's funny, right? But it would have been so nice if such people lived in this world, or at present. That's what I meant. Because Don Anselmo, he is a real character, as it is a real story, or a story based on a real incident. I wish if such a person was there in our time. It would have been very nice, right? There is no one so generous. not me, not you. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the story. Uh, it's a very simple but a beautiful, touching story, or it makes us think. And I want you to think. Okay, it's not just about mugging up the story and scoring so much of marks, but think about those values and think about those meanings, or what actually the author wants to tell. You may get more meaning than what comes in my mind or what I understand. Okay, so that's it. Read the chapter once again, and if you have some doubt, post it in the comment box. I'll discuss it later, and all the question answers, everything will be discussed in the next session. Okay, so till then, stay home, stay safe, take care, bye.